I kept one test secret for 40 years because I did not want people to know about it. Then I realized that most people are already failing, and they do not know why. This test will show them why they fail, but they might not want to see it. My name is Nikola Tesla. What I am about to share with you is something I discovered in my laboratory and then spent 4 decades watching play out in every person I encountered. It is a simple test. It takes 9 seconds, and it reveals why some people succeed at almost everything they attempt, while others fail repeatedly at the same things without ever understanding the pattern. This is not about intelligence. It is not about effort. It is not about opportunity or luck or any of the things people usually blame when things do not work. This is about signal reception, and most people are receiving the wrong signals without knowing it. Let me explain what I mean. Every day, hundreds of signals reach you. Information, opportunities, warnings, directions. Most people believe they are aware of everything happening around them. They are not. They receive only a small fraction of the available signals. The rest pass by unnoticed. And the signals they do receive are often not the most important ones. They are simply the loudest ones, the most insistent ones, the ones that demand attention rather than deserve it. This is why people fail without understanding why. They are acting on incomplete information, making decisions based on a fraction of the available data, following the loudest signal instead of the clearest signal. And they do this their entire lives without ever realizing the problem. I developed a test for this, a way to measure signal reception in real time, not with equipment, with a simple practice anyone can do. I kept it private for decades because I was not certain people would use it properly. But I have come to realize that the damage of not knowing is greater than the risk of misuse. The test has 3 parts. Each part reveals a different aspect of how you receive signals and where you are losing information that could change your decisions. Let me show you the first part. The first part of the signal test measures your ability to distinguish between signal and noise. Most people cannot do this. They treat everything that reaches them as equally important. A random thought is given the same weight as a critical insight. A passing comment from a stranger affects them as much as careful advice from someone who knows them well. They have no filter, no way to separate what matters from what does not. Here is how you test this. For the next 9 seconds, and I mean exactly 9 seconds, pay attention to everything entering your awareness. Sounds, sensations, thoughts. Do not judge them. Do not react to them. Simply notice them. Count how many distinct signals you can identify in 9 seconds. Most people identify 3 or 4. Some people identify 7 or 8. Very few people identify more than 10. But here is what matters. In those same 9 seconds, dozens of signals actually reached you. You simply did not notice most of them. Your reception is limited, and what you do notice is not necessarily what matters most. It is what your current filter allows through. Now ask yourself this. If you can only receive a small fraction of the signals reaching you in 9 seconds, how much are you missing in 9 hours, 9 days, 9 years? How many opportunities passed by you because your filter was set wrong? How many warnings did you ignore because they were not loud enough to get through? This is the first failure point, limited reception. And most people never realize they are operating with partial information. But here is where it gets worse. The second part of the signal test measures what you do with the signals you receive. Reception is only half of the problem. Processing is the other half. Most people receive a signal and then immediately distort it. They interpret it through their existing beliefs, their fears, their hopes, their assumptions about how things work. By the time the signal reaches their decision-making process, it has been so heavily filtered and modified that it barely resembles the original. Let me give you an example. A man I knew received a clear signal that his current work was not sustainable. His body was telling him, his mind was telling him, People around him were telling him. The signal was unmistakable, but he processed it through his belief that changing direction would be admitting failure. By the time the signal reached his awareness, it had become, "You just need to work harder." He kept going. He collapsed 6 months later. The signal was clear. His processing was broken. Here is how you test your processing. Think of the last time someone gave you direct feedback about something you were doing wrong. What was the actual signal they sent? Now compare that to what you heard, what you felt, what you decided it meant. Are they the same? Or did you transform their signal into something else entirely? Most people transform signals to match what they already believe. If the signal contradicts their worldview, they distort it until it fits. If the signal requires them to change something fundamental, they reinterpret it as a minor adjustment. This is not intentional. This is automatic. Your mind protects itself from information that threatens its current structure. But this protection kills you, slowly, decision by decision. You are acting on transformed signals, distorted information. And you wonder why your results do not match your efforts. Stay with me because this third part explains why the pattern continues. The third part of the signal test is the most important and the most overlooked. It measures your response time, how quickly you act on a clear signal once you receive it properly. Most people fail here even when they succeed at the first two parts. They receive the right signal, they process it accurately, then they wait, they hesitate, they gather more information, they seek confirmation, they want to be absolutely certain before they move. By the time they finally act, the signal has changed. The opportunity has closed. The warning has become a crisis. The clear direction has become ambiguous because circumstances have shifted. They were right about what to do. They were simply too slow. I will tell you something I observed over decades. The difference between people who succeed consistently and people who fail repeatedly is not that successful people make better decisions. It is that they make faster decisions when the signal is clear. They have learned to trust their reception. They have learned to minimize distortion in processing. And they have learned to act immediately when both of those are aligned. Failed people wait for perfect information, perfect certainty, perfect conditions. They do not realize that signals decay, that clarity diminishes over time, that the moment of obvious rightness is brief, and if you miss it, you are back in ambiguity. Let me show you how these three parts work together in the real world. A woman I knew received a signal about a partnership she was considering. The signal was clear. Something was not aligned. She could feel it. She received it properly. But then she processed it through her fear of appearing difficult. The signal became, maybe I am just being too picky. Then she delayed. She wanted to gather more evidence, to be sure, to give it more time. She moved forward with the partnership. It failed exactly as the original signal had indicated it would. 6 months wasted, money lost, relationships damaged. She told me afterward that she knew from the beginning. The signal had been clear, but she did not trust it. She distorted it. She delayed. All three failure points. Now let me show you how to fix each one. To improve your signal reception, practice the 9-second awareness exercise every single day, multiple times per day. Train yourself to notice more of what is actually reaching you. Over time, your filter will expand. You will begin to catch signals you used to miss entirely. This is not magic. This is training your awareness the same way you would train any other skill. To improve your signal processing, check every important decision against this question. Am I responding to what is actually here, or am I responding to what I expect to be here? Am I seeing clearly, or am I seeing through a filter of fear, hope, or assumption? Write down the raw signal, then write down what you think it means. Compare them. If they are very different, you are distorting. To improve your response time, practice making small, fast decisions on clear signals, not reckless decisions. Fast decisions when clarity is present. Train yourself to recognize the feeling of a clear signal and to move immediately when you feel it. The more you practice this on small things, the better you become at it on large things. But here is what most people miss. The signal test is not just about individual decisions. It is about your entire life pattern. When you consistently fail at all three parts, reception, processing, and response time, a pattern emerges. You begin to live in a permanent state of ambiguity. Nothing is ever completely clear. You are always somewhat uncertain, always needing more information, always waiting for better conditions. And because you are operating on partial, distorted, delayed information, your results are consistently worse than they should be. Other people see this. They watch you struggle with things that seem simple to them. They wonder why you cannot see what is obvious. They assume you are not intelligent or not capable. But that is not the problem. The problem is that you are receiving different signals than they are receiving. You are processing them through different filters, and you are acting at different speeds. You are living in a different information environment, even though you are in the same physical environment. This is why advice from successful people often does not work for struggling people. The advice is based on the signals the successful person receives, but the struggling person is not receiving those same signals. They are receiving different information entirely, and no amount of good advice can overcome bad signal reception. The solution is not better advice. The solution is better reception, clearer processing, faster response. Fix the signal problem and the decisions fix themselves. I tested this on myself for years before I tested it on others. I discovered that I was missing entire categories of signals because I had decided they were not important. Social signals, emotional signals, physical signals from my own body. I was so focused on intellectual and technical signals that I had filtered out everything else. This caused problems I did not understand until I expanded my reception. When I began practicing the 9-second awareness exercise, I was shocked at how much I had been missing. Sounds I never heard. Changes in people I never noticed. Shifts in my own state I completely ignored. I had been operating on perhaps 20% of the available information and wondering why some things never worked, no matter how carefully I thought about them. I also discovered that I was distorting almost every signal that contradicted what I wanted to be true. If I wanted a partnership to work, I would transform warning signals into minor concerns. If I wanted an approach to succeed, I would reinterpret failure signals as temporary setbacks. I was not lying to myself intentionally. I simply had a processing system that protected my existing commitments even when they were wrong. And I discovered that I was catastrophically slow to act on clear signals that required major changes. I would see the signal, process it correctly, then wait months or years before finally doing what I knew needed to be done from the beginning. This delay cost me more than any other single factor in my life. When I fixed all three, everything changed. Not because I became smarter or more capable, because I started acting on accurate, timely information instead of partial, distorted, delayed information. Let me give you a practice you can start immediately. Every evening, take 10 minutes with a piece of paper. Write down one decision you made that day. Any decision. Then answer these 3 questions. What signals did I receive before making this decision? Write down everything you can remember. Thoughts, feelings, information from others, physical sensations, everything that reached your awareness. How did I process these signals? Did I take them at face value, or did I transform them? Did I ignore some and amplify others? Did I distort anything to match what I wanted to believe? How quickly did I act once I had clarity? Did I move immediately, or did I wait? If I waited, what was I waiting for? Was it necessary, or was it hesitation? Do this every evening for 1 month. You will begin to see your patterns, the signals you consistently miss, the distortions you consistently make, the delays you consistently choose. And once you see the patterns, you can begin to change them. A man who practiced this told me something remarkable. He said he realized he had been making the same decision over and over for 20 years and calling it different decisions. He was ignoring the same signal, processing it through the same distortion, delaying in the same way, and getting the same result. Once he saw the pattern, he was able to break it, not by trying harder, by receiving better, processing clearer, and responding faster. This is what the signal test gives you. Not a guarantee of success, but an accurate picture of why you are failing when you fail. And that picture is the beginning of changing the pattern. I kept this test secret for 40 years because I was not certain people would use it honestly. Most people do not want to see how much they are missing, how much they are distorting, how much they are delaying. They would rather believe their failures are caused by external factors they cannot control. But I have come to understand that the people who need this most are the ones who will use it honestly, and the people who will not use it honestly would not benefit from it anyway. Which part of the signal test do you fail most often? Reception? Processing? Response time? Think about this carefully. The answer shows you where to begin.